Howdy folks, Jabberiki here. Do you love cartoon shows but you don't know which episodes to watch this festive season? Well, don't you worry, because in this video I'm going to be giving you 25 recommendations. No, this is not a top 25 countdown, it's just a random selection of suggestions. So without any further ado, let's start unwrapping those cartoons. The Simpsons, roasting on an open fire. When Mr. Burns refuses to give Christmas bonuses to his employees and the Simpsons' festive funds have to go towards removing Bart's new tattoo, Homer becomes a mall Santa so that he can afford presents for his family. Now, I didn't include this on the list because I think it's the best Christmas episode of The Simpsons. That position would go to Marge Be Not Proud. But I did choose it because I think it's the one that captures the spirit of the season best. It's the very first Simpsons episode, so expect the animation to be choppy and outdated, but there's a real charm to the scrappy quality of the animation that warms my socks each December. It takes me back to a time when I first saw The Simpsons as a kid, and gives me the kind of nostalgic memories that I associate with Christmas. While it doesn't have the same quality of comedy writing as later Simpsons episodes, it makes up for it with its pure wholesomeness.
Isn't Bart sweet, Homer? He sings like an angel.
Jingle bells, Batman smells, Robin laid an egg. The Batmobile broke its wheel, the Joker got a
We sympathise with Homer's working class struggles as an underpaid family man who wants the best for his loved ones, while also despising those who employ him for unfairly underpaying him during the holidays.
Son, one day you're gonna know the satisfaction of payday, receiving a big fat check for a job well done.
Simpson, Homer, here you go.
Come on, son. Let's go cash this baby and get presents for $13.
I won't spoil how things pan out for Homer, but it's a sweet resolution that really captures the message of Christmas and what it means under its shiny tinsel surface. Winnie the Pooh and Christmas too. The animals of Hundred Acre Wood have decided to write their letters to Santa. Each are very excited to get the gifts that they need this season. But when their letter is blown back to Pooh's house, he becomes determined to fix Christmas at any cost. This was a Pooh cartoon that I owned on VHS as a kid. I watched it so many times growing up. And it was such a nostalgia trip to revisit it for the first time as an adult. So many memories came flooding back, which in itself is a big part of the Christmas feeling. The true spirit of this special is the lengths that Pooh goes to save Christmas for everyone. He's not that bothered about missing out on his presents, but he would do anything to make sure that his friends get theirs. Whether that means posing as Santa to deliver handmade versions of requested gifts.
Ho, ho, ho! Gasp! Santa Claus! Yep, that's him. Though I always thought he was taller.
Or ending up promising to travel to the North Pole to deliver the letter to Santa in person, at the risk of missing out on Christmas. Does he screw up when trying to fix Christmas? Oh, of course, it's old Pooh Bear. However, it's the fact that he wants to make his friends happy at Christmas that makes us forgive his incompetence. While his friends come to realise that a Christmas with presents under the trees but no Pooh around wouldn't be the same Christmas.
I don't even know what present I wanted, but I'd give it up to have Pooh Bear here.
You know, so would I.
Me too. If only we had him back.
This Pooh special is a delightful winter story that has all the perfect ingredients for a Christmas classic. Pokemon, standless little helpers. On Christmas night, Ash's, Misty's and Brock's Pokemon all break out of their Pokeballs. They end up finding Santa Claus, who has stopped his sleigh because his Stantler has a fever, and he doesn't have enough berries left to help them recover. So, all the Pokemon agree to go find more berries. This is a simple and short Christmas special, but the charm comes from what it makes out of what little it has. These Pokemon really care about the health of the Stantler, and in turn, Santa's mission to deliver his presents. They show this with how much effort they're willing to put into finding the berries. Unsurprisingly, it's Pikachu who steals the story, from having the clever idea to use his electricity to power a Christmas light as a headlamp, to being brave enough to climb a cliff to reach the berries. We also feel for the poor Stantler, because who can't be sorry for this cute Pokemon suffering? I loved seeing Stantler finally recover, though mainly because his cry is unintentionally hilarious.
Sounds like there's gonna be a Christmas after all.
So if any of my fellow weebs want a holiday special anime to check out this month, maybe you could put this one on your watch list. Creature Comforts. Merry Christmas, everybody. Aardman's Creature Comforts Christmas special was always a traditional watch in my family household growing up, and is a beloved part of British culture. For those of you who don't know, Creature Comforts takes real-life interviews with everyday people and brings them alive with stop-motion animated animals. There's no plot or story in this holiday special, it's just a bunch of animals expressing their opinions on Christmas.
I always insist on wearing my hat from my cracker, don't
I hate wearing my hat from my Christmas cracker. It really annoys me.
Yeah, but I make you wear it.
You don't.
But I want you to wear it this year, please.
I'm not wearing it.
But what makes it so impressive is how it glues all the interviews together. Festive topics flow into each other naturally, running jokes are inspired by the very interviews, and interviewee statements are cleverly recontextualized to make sense when coming out of their respected animated animal.
So I get a little sniffly.
You come to interview me and you're allergic to dogs. No wonder you're feeling a bit sniffly. Oh dear, so funny.
It's all very relaxing to watch because there's a calm atmosphere to every interview, and each interviewee sounds like someone we know. Plus the little touches to make the special Christmassy are really endearing. You will also get so invested in the animation that you'll forget that these are human interviews, and become convinced that the voices inherently belong to these creatures. The magic works that well.
5 gold rings, 4 golden birds, 3 French hens. I don't remember anymore.
6.
6 made singing. I think I might have made that one up. 6.
I know there are loads of leaping somewhere, but I don't know.
7 lots of leaping.
If you're more in the mood for something light to wind down to this month, then give this laid-back holiday cartoon a shot, because it's an ideal viewing if you just want something chilled out. Invader Zim, the most horrible Xmas ever. Zim builds a mechanical Santa suit to con the people of Earth in a bid to control them through the iconic appeal of Father Christmas. However, his world domination plans are threatened when the suit takes over his body every time it's triggered by a festive whimsy. This is the kind of holiday special for those who love Christmas with all their heart, but they also have a dark sense of humour and an interest in the grotesque. So, people like me. It takes all the tropes and cliches of traditional Christmas cartoons and gives them a nightmarish twist, right down to a sinister robot snowman storyteller.
Zim had fooled the whole world, but he didn't know much about Christmas now, did he?
I don't get it. Why does he want to take over the Earth so badly? What does he have to gain or to lose? And the mechanizations of this malfunctioning Santa suit completely elude me.
As I was saying.
It's also fascinating seeing a dystopian future that's so bleak that Santa himself has vanished from existence, which says a lot about how cruel and hopeless this version of Earth really is. Every human is so desperate for happiness that they see Zim Santa as a glimmer of light, which the alien invader gladly exploits.
It's the Yuletide helping of Santa to build a giant teleporter capable of sending all humans to their doom. My labor sleighs will take you to the North Pole, where you will build the teleporter.
Will being teleported to our doom be fun and Christmassy?
Of course it will, you hideous fool!
You can maybe even see Zim's evil plan as a satire on how corporations use wholesome holiday mascots to emotionally manipulate consumers.
Ho, ho, ho. Merry Christmas.
But I think that the best thing about the episode is Zim's Santa costume, because we're so used to evil suits that turn someone corrupt. This is something that forces Zim to be good, and it's so funny seeing the villainous Zim being overtaken by Christmas joy of all things.
Ho, 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 children! I love you! All of you! Elves, wrap up everything I have and give it to these good people here!
If you're a fan of absurd black comedy and strange science fiction, then the Invader Zim Xmas special is very perfect for you. Batman, the animated series. Christmas with the Joker. Gotham City seems quiet this Christmas night, but Batman has a gut feeling that someone is up to something. Robin tries to calm the brooding Cape Crusader with a viewing of It's a Wonderful Life. However, the feature presentation is interrupted by the Joker, who has taken over television with his own holiday special, featuring kidnapped law enforcement as special guests, each being forced to pretend to be the Joker's family. To simply put it, this is a really fun Batman Christmas cartoon. A lot of its entertainment value comes from the Joker playing a variety show TV host. He slips into the role very easily because he's a naturally charismatic character.
I'll bet Batman wishes he had a family just like mine. Personally, I think relatives are a bore, so Batman can have them. If he can find them by midnight.
The suspense comes from never knowing what the Joker has planned next on his show, as well as the fact that Gotham's police authorities are the Clown Prince's hostages. The stakes are very high because of this, and it's this sense of surprise and tension that makes us have so much fun. The special may be very over the top, and even downright silly sometimes, but there's also something very disturbing about the situation. Especially when a hostage starts crying on live TV. One moment we're laughing at the Joker's comedy shtick, then we're swiftly reminded that this is a villain who is willing to kill, torment, or destroy just for the fun of it.
It's an exact replica of Gotham City!
It has everything, even trains and bridges.
Bridges? I just love blowing up bridges.
Well, in that case, let's go live to Donner and Blitzen at the President's Bridge.
But there's also something poignant about the episode. The idea that both Batman and the Joker have no family at Christmas, but they handle such loneliness in different ways. Bruce scours Gotham to find crime to fight to distract his thoughts, while the Joker kidnaps his own family in the name of Christmas television entertainment. It's a fascinating dive into these characters that forces us to draw comparisons. If you want a superhero holiday special that's completely off the wall bonkers, then Christmas with the Joker is for you. Jackie Chan Adventures, a Jolly J Team Xmas. Dowlon Wonka's kidnapped Santa Claus in an effort to steal his chief for himself. So Jackie and Jade gather all their allies together to rescue Saint Nick and save Christmas. There's something inherently hilarious about taking Dowlon Wong, one of the most menacing children's cartoon villains ever, and putting him in the cutesy world of Father Christmas. The show knows how goofy that is in premise, and has so much fun with its ridiculous concept.
May you look!
The stakes are still high though, not just because Christmas could be cancelled for the whole world, but also who knows how much more powerful Dowlon Wong will become with Santa's magic at his helm. My favourite thing about this episode though is how it brings so many characters together, all in the name of saving Christmas. It's so wholesome, yet also kind of badass. Each character has a purpose in the team too, assigned a role within the mission that utilises their skills. Uncle uses his magic to locate Santa Claus's location.
Uncle needs egg of sparrow, saliva of eel, foam of goat's milk. Not foamy enough.
Physically stronger characters take on Dowlon Wong's snowman minions. While Toru plays the role of Santa Claus and the kids are his little helpers.
Down the chimney you go! Hit it, T!
But I am not chimney friendly.
This sense of camaraderie helps solidify a wonderful Christmas message about togetherness. Oh, and can I just say how lovable Santa is in this show? His main concern is the children around the world, and he has such a big heart that he even tries to offer a branch of peace to Dowlon Wong.
Please, please, think of the children.
Your pleas are fruitless. For my soul, dear Crinkle, is as black as coal.
A Jolly J Team Xmas is a very fun and action-packed Christmas special that manages to be both really cool and very cute at the same time. Adventure Time. Holly Jolly Secrets. When Jake and Finn find a suitcase full of VHS tapes, they play them all on BMO, and each cassette turns out to contain Ice King's video diaries. Even though the entries in these cassettes are mundane for the most part, Finn and Jake are convinced that they might contain Ice King's evil secrets. Meanwhile, Ice King himself attempts to break into Jake and Finn's home to retrieve his tapes. While the entertainment that these two are watching is pretty much a supervillain's home videos, mainly consisting of childish rants or confessions of insecurities, Finn and Jake make this mission into a surprisingly Christmassy experience, simply by dressing up in sweaters and making themselves festive snacks. That's what I love about Christmas. It's a holiday that turns anything and everything into something warm and fuzzy. You just need to add some wintertime charms, and presto, even a sad old man's rantings can become seasonal.
Bimo, fast forward to triple speed.
Okay.
But there is some curiosity to come out of these tapes, because there's so much footage to go through, and at least one cassette is bound to reveal something important, with the tension of Ice King himself trying to steal the tapes back, adding suspense to our hero's video marathon. Then we get to the last tape in the collection, a VHS that changes everything.
After purchasing this crown from an old dock worker in northern Scandinavia, I brought it home and excitedly showed my fiancée Betty. I jokingly put it on my head just for a laugh or something, and that's when it started. The visions. I fought with them, shouted at them until I realized it wasn't real, it was the crown. I quickly took it off and saw my fiancé in front of me, looking at me with such contempt. What had I said? What had I done when I wore this crown?
Yep, we finally learned the tragic origins of this goofy bad guy. It's this episode that changed Ice King from a comedic foe for our heroes into a sympathetic character we can actually feel sorry for. You're bound to get lots of feels from this episode. It captures the warmth of a cozy indoor Christmas, all while challenging our opinions of a character we thought we knew. Darkwing Duck. It's a wonderful leaf. The supervillain Bushroot has decided to ruin Christmas by bringing all the pine trees to life in a bid to cause chaos and motivate folks to hate Santa. So it's up to Darkwing Duck to stop this foe and save Christmas for the city. One thing I love about this episode is how Darkwing, someone who tries hard to be taken seriously as a brooding superhero, is actually Buddy the Elf at Christmas time. He follows yearly traditions accordingly and loves the atmosphere of this season.
You know, there's something about this time of year that makes everything seem so peaceful.
His daughter Gosling, though, is all about getting presents, to the point where she'll do anything to unwrap her gifts early, and she must learn to value the merits of giving and patience, something that does pay off by the end. Bushroot's hatred for Christmas time does actually come from an understandable place too, as he can't stand the self-entitlement shown by people at the shopping mall.
One of these might be... Get out of my way! Oh well, this watering can will be just fine.
Yeah, right, I'll take it!
Excuse me, sir, but I believe I was here first.
But his decision to take Christmas away is of course an extreme resolution to such a problematic aspect of a well-meaning holiday. I think it's Bushroot's tree goons that steal the episode though, being quite intimidating in size and full of broad personality, in spite of their faceless designs and lack of dialogue. I can see Bushroot maybe winning the day with minions like these, especially when they seem to really love their master.
Allow me to introduce my new best friend, Douglas Fir!
This is a fun Christmas-themed cartoon that'll keep you entertained with its superhero action, all while uplifting your spirits with a warm and fuzzy ending. The Proud Family. 7 days of Kwanzaa. When the Prouds befriend a homeless family made up of Joseph, Margaret and Stephanie, the Prouds end up spending Christmas with these less privileged folk, and in return, they offer to introduce the Prouds to the 7 days of Kwanzaa. Being someone who knows very little about Kwanzaa, I wasn't sure what to expect from this episode, but I loved where it went with its story. It starts off as a typical Christmas special, but the homeless family transform it into something more. With so many sitcoms showing us middle-class family life, it's quite enlightening to see this cartoon shift the focus onto one living in poverty, in a way that challenges our perspectives on homelessness, the value of money, our attachment to material possessions, and what it really takes to be happy as a family.
You really don't miss having a home? I mean, I can't imagine not having my own home.
Girl, I got news for you. You don't own this home. It owns you.
Oh, I know what you're trying to say, but you're wrong. I'm not attached to anything here. I'm not like that at... Oh, no! Not my good china!
What do you care? You're not attached. Whoops, that dropped another one.
But what makes this special so profound is how it introduces audiences to Kwanzaa traditions and values. I actually got goosebumps watching this mainstream children's cartoon celebrate an African holiday. Heck, I even came close to crying at such a powerful representation. And I can only imagine how African audiences must have felt seeing such a touching tribute.
Habari Gani? Umoja. Here's the person proud, the only man I've ever loved, without whom this family would not be together today.
There is something a little strange about this homeless family, but trust me, there's a twist that explains everything by the end. So give them a chance before being too quick to judge their intentions. I really admire this cartoon for giving Disney Channel viewers an eye into African heritage, while also making us think deeply about the true values of life, and why what we own, where we live, or what we have access to shouldn't define our character, as well as the importance of looking out for those less privileged than us. Timon and Pumbaa, don't be elfish. In order to afford a new video game console, Timon and Pumbaa get jobs as Santa and his elf. But Timon is struggling to get into the Christmas spirit for his role. This is a cartoon that finds as many gags and jokes as it can from its basic comedy setup. The plot may be as straightforward as they come, but the whole episode keeps inventing new ideas to annoy Timon or poke fun at shopping mall culture.
Next child, please!
I want a race car set. I want a race car set. I want a race car set. I want a race car set.
I just love
Christmas!
A part of us does kind of resonate with Timon though, because many of us have been in a crappy job that required bending over backwards for customers. But that's not to say that the meerkat doesn't act like a jerk. Heck, he ends up becoming so mean-spirited that a real elf appears and tells him that he's on Santa's naughty list.
Okay, that's it. You's no longer nice. Oh, no need. You're already on.
What I like about this turn of events is that Timon isn't upset that he won't get any presents, but that he isn't seen as a good person in Santa's eyes. That's what scares him. He does all he can to earn his place on the nice list, all so he can gain Father Christmas's respect.
Here's your check, Timon. You earned it. Money shmoney. I just want to make sure I'm good and nice.
Don't Be Elvish is very fun and silly, with an emphasis on wacky humour above anything, but it does have a little sentiment sprinkled in for Christmas feels. Recess. Yes, Mikey Santa does shave. It's Christmas at 3rd Street, and Prickly wants to convince a producer to broadcast his school's pageant on TV. So he convinces Mikey to sing as Santa Claus to make the show stand out. However, Mikey himself is facing a crisis of faith once he realises that his friends don't believe in Saint Nick, and he wants to prove to them that he's real. What I like about this special is how it validates an older child's realization about Santa's existence, and discovering how adults have been using his iconic appeal for commercial pandering or political gain. While most kids accept the truth about Santa after preschool, some children make this epiphany at a later stage, and the cartoon shows how this is normal. Mikey is a keen optimist, so it makes sense that he'd continue believing in Father Christmas, while his more cynical friends would start asking questions.
Well, at least we all believe in Santa, right, guys? Right?
Well, you see, Mikey, it's just,
Wait a minute. Are you guys saying you don't believe in Santa?
It's not that we don't believe, Mikey. It's just, well...
We're not real sure. I mean, you have to admit, Mikey, the concept of an overweight man in a red suit delivering presents to several million children all in one night is a tad difficult to accept.
The episode is all about Mikey confronting certain realities that challenge his faith and own identity. Santa is a plus-size figure of kindness and love, so of course a kid like Mikey would idolize him and be afraid what life means to him if he isn't real. Don't worry though, this isn't a nihilistic special that sets out to strip away the magic of Santa. Its aim is to resonate with kids who find these new emotions overwhelming and tell them that it's okay to have a sudden crisis of faith. It also encourages Mikey to recontextualize Santa and know that Santa can still positively influence his values even if he doesn't exist.
I tried to prove to my friends he was real, but only ended up proving to myself that he's not. Now I just want to give up.
This is a time for giving, Mikey, not giving up. I mean, just because you can't see something with your eyes or hear it with your ears doesn't mean it's not real. Some things exist in here.
In your heart?
Sure. If you can believe in Santa in your heart, then he is real. And so is everything he stands for, like giving and selflessness and friendship.
It's a lovely and wholesome Christmas special that wants to be there for kids learning about the adult world. while also reminding audiences that no matter how much older you get, the myth of Santa can stay with us in spirit, because what he represents can become part of who we are. Futurama. Xmas story. In the world of Futurama, Santa Claus is actually a corporate robot gone rogue, who hunts down those who have been naughty to execute them. While the idea of a killer Santa Claus has been done before many times, this cartoon gives such a concept a sci-fi twist, by making him a more technological threat, something that works into this time setting. He's not a mindless machine killing for fun either, but more of a high moral judge playing executioner, an antagonist who feels genuine anger towards those who have sinned.
You've been very naughty, Bender. What, me? I didn't do nothing. You're thinking of the kid. My God, Bender, framing an orphan. That's so naughty, I'll have to add it to my list right now.
Even though the episode has a very dark concept, it's still quite Christmassy, with Planet Express's festive decorations adding a warm, cozy feel to the workplace. The plot is straight out of a sci-fi horror story, yet it still gives me the same feels as any other Xmas special. John Goodman, who has made a career out of playing Father Christmas, is outstanding as Santa Bot's voice too. He really does sound like a mechanical genocidal version of the Jolly Red Man, being almost unrecognizable.
You've all been very naughty indeed. Except you, Dr. Zoidberg. This is for you.
A pogo stick.
As for the rest of you, I'm going to tear off your skin like wrapping paper and deck the halls with your guts.
Meanwhile, Fry ends up hurting Lilo by ignoring her sadness at Christmas, but he feels legitimately guilty for his insensitivity and wants to show that he's sorry with the perfect Xmas gift to her. He sets very high standards for said present, and when he loses a parrot he buys her, he's willing to risk his life to retrieve it. As stupid and naive as Fry is, he makes up for it with how much heart he has. There's also some cynical laughs to be had from the crooked Bender pretending to be homeless for free booze. It's totally in tune with his character, and exactly how I'd expect him to spend Christmas.
Welcome, brother! May the blessings of the season be upon you.
Yeah, amen. Listen, I'm one of those lazy homeless bums I've been hearing about. Could you point me to the free booze?
Xmas story might sound a bit too mean-spirited for Christmas viewing, but it plants its tongue so firmly in its cheek that you can't take its dark concept too seriously. And I have to call it one of my favourite holiday specials to watch each December. So we're halfway through the video, and I'd like to remind folks to consider subscribing to my channel. If you're already subscribed, don't forget to click the notification bell. Thank you very much. Now let's continue. A Charlie Brown Christmas. Charlie Brown feels depressed this Christmas because he fails to see the purpose of this holiday, especially when his friends and family are only seeing the commercial value of Christmas. In an effort to find meaning in the holiday, Charlie agrees to direct the annual Christmas play, but no one will respect him as a director. Yes, this special has scrappy animation, wooden voice acting from kids, and follows a fairly simplistic narrative. But that's the flawed beauty of it. Much like Charlie himself, it's an underdog of Christmas specials, held back by its budget, yet well-meaning in spirit. There's an endearing timeless quality to its melancholic tone, relaxing jazz music, and open earnesty about the winter blues.
I think there must be something wrong with me, Linus. Christmas is coming, but I'm not happy. I don't feel the way I'm supposed to feel. I just don't understand Christmas, I guess. I like getting presents and sending Christmas cards and decorating trees and all that, but I'm still not happy.
With so many holiday specials striving to keep up a cheery mood, A Charlie Brown Christmas stands out as a cartoon that validates those who are lost, sad, or afraid in December, a feeling that's most likely become more than common after a year like 2020. The short lets Charlie explore deeper emotions than most holiday specials would, including his personal confidence issues, resentment towards a shallow corporate Christmas, and all-around confusion over what he's meant to feel just because it's December.
My own dog gone commercial. I can't stand it. Oh!
While Linus's famous speech is a direct quotation from the Bible, something I personally can't resonate with as an atheist, it's how said speech affects our characters that rings true. Especially Charlie himself, whose face lights up in joy. It's a speech that inspires him to see a deeper meaning to Christmas, something more spiritual, and it motivates his friends to be kinder to this boy who is trying his best. Yes, A Charlie Brown Christmas is more than an obvious recommendation this December. You could even call it a predictable choice on my end. But I felt like it needed to be mentioned right now, because it holds an even deeper meaning this festive season, in a year where most people feel existentially challenged and view Christmas through a different lens.
Charlie Brown, you're the only person I know who can take a wonderful season like Christmas and turn it into a problem. Maybe Lucy's right. Of all the Charlie Browns in the world, you're the Charlie Browniest.
King of the Hill, living on Reds, vitamin C and propane. Hank's mum has inherited a set of antiques from her deceased best friend, so Hank hires a truck and vows to deliver the said antiques to his mother before Christmas, with Bobby as his driving buddy. However, no one respects Hank as a trucker, especially truckers, because of what he's hauling and how easy his trip is. Meanwhile, Peggy and Luann are trying to write a Christmas song inspired by Hank and Bobby's road trip, but they're really struggling to make the lyrics work. Now, most King of the Hill specials are a bit too dark or sad for the festive season. I mean, one of them opens up like this. So it's hard to recommend most of them if you want happy feelings this month. But this episode is a really fun comedy caper that'll make you laugh and smile. Hank Hill is a character who takes honour very personally, plus really looks up to the hard-working truckers like they're his heroes, so he feels ashamed that he doesn't get their respect.
Guess playing trucker takes a lot out of you.
At least now he can tell all the other accountants he slept at a real truck stop.
I can see where the truckers are coming from, considering their lifestyles, but I do feel for Hank's wounded pride too. This is what makes us really root for him to earn his place in the trucker community. You can see how much this culture means to him.
Look at all this cool stuff!
This isn't a toy, Bobby. To a trucker, these are tools. See, truckers are the last cowboys. They're their own bosses, making tough decisions, winning or losing by the calls they make, answering only to the road.
I also love how Bobby is really supportive of his dad, trusting him and believing in his potential to complete this road trip and maybe become a trucking legend. He really does idolize his dad and wants him to be happy.
Sure, we're in a hole, but real truckers are in a hole all the time and they don't give up. They figure out a way to get through. You're not just a guy with a truck, Dad.
What makes things really funny though is that Bill, Boomhauer and Dale have snuck into the truck's cargo. Their goofy hijinks are both hilarious to watch and entertainingly frustrating because we care about Hank's mission. When Hank falls asleep, Boomhauer takes over the wheel, but they end up driving the truck up a snowy mountain. So the fellas use the antiques to drive back down, working as a team to do something even the average trucker wouldn't be brave enough to accomplish. It's a terrific payoff by the end, and you're bound to share their exhaustion. Lilo and Stitch. Topper. It's Stitch's first Christmas, so Lilo wants to introduce the traditions to her best friend. But when Stitch spots an experiment orb being wrapped up, he steals all the presents in Hawaii in a bid to find it. It turns out that Gantu ordered for the orb to be packaged so that he can send it as a gift to Hamsterville this Christmas. When I found out that a Lilo and Stitch Christmas special existed, I had extremely high hopes for something super wholesome. And dang did it deliver. It's not only interesting watching Stitch discover Christmas for the first time,
I'm a taka!
No! You can't have all those!
No!
Christmas isn't just about getting presents.
but I also like seeing this holiday from a Hawaiian perspective, though I'm not sure how authentic it is.
Lots of people say Merry Christmas, but here in Hawaii, we say Mele Kaliki Maka. You try.
Mele Kaliki blah blah.
We'll have to work on that.
Jumper and Pleakley have a lot of hilarious moments too, from Pleakley taking on the role of being the family Christmas tree.
I'm doing my best to represent a coniferous evergreen indicative of the holiday season, but no one seems to care.
To Jumper fighting Stitch over the stolen presents.
I will teach him to share brightly wrapped goodies with evil genius who created him!
Oh, and these two wear the cutest couple costumes this episode. However, the real strength of this special is Gantu. This is a villain henchman who tries to act tough, but when push comes to shove, he has a sensitive soul deep down.
Santa, do I get a present?
You? A proto-Earth form? Don't be ridiculous. Why would I? No, that's not fair. Stop looking at me like that. Cease using your ocular orbs to gain sympathy.
The episode keeps the experiment itself a secret, but let's just say that this creature is beyond perfect for the special's festive setting and intended message. A Pinky and the Brain Christmas. This Christmas, Pinky and the Brain's world domination plan is to infiltrate Santa's workshop as elves, and sneak in blueprints for Brain's toy, the Noodle Noggin. a doll that can hypnotize anyone who looks into its eyes. The fun thing about this episode is seeing how these mice overcome their obstacles. Their inherent limitations require them to think on their toes, and the head elf is hard to convince. I love watching Brain's instincts kick into action as he adapts to each roadblock with inventive wit.
On Dasher, on Dancer, on Prancer, on Blitzen, on...
Just act natural, Pinky.
Pinky and the Brain is one of the only shows in which we root for the villain and his henchmen. The Christmas setting makes us even more eager to see them both succeed this time. It's also adorable seeing a big kid like Pinky being in the Christmas spirit, especially when he's more invested in his letter to Santa than Brain's evil scheme. It's his pure innocence that contrasts so well against Brain's serious intellect.
Santa himself will distribute our doll to every house, hovel, and hut in the land.
Oh, Brian, this is wonderful.
Yes, Pinky, the verge of world domination.
Well, yes, that. But now I can deliver my letter to Santa in person. Hurrah!
The star in this episode's tree, though, is finding out what Pinky's letter reads, and how that affects Brain's feelings when he's ready to trigger his noodle noggins. A Pinky and the Brain Christmas is a very tongue-in-cheek festive special, but it also earns a very wholesome ending that'll tug on your tear ducts. The Magic School Bus Holiday Special. In this episode, Miss Frizzle's class are recycling used items for Christmas, but when Wanda's Nutcracker doll gets accidentally melted down to plastic, she begins resenting the recycling process. So Miss Frizz uses the Magic School Bus to show the kids a world without recycling. It's quite surprising seeing a show tie an environmental message into Christmas, but considering the amount of stuff people buy this time of year, it seems like the perfect topic to teach kids in December. It'd be naive to assume that these things have nothing to do with each other. I grew up with an environmental studies teacher for a mum, so these kinds of values were already part of my childhood growing up. However, not all kids had that same upbringing, so I'm glad that there's a Magic School Bus episode on this subject. The cartoon does a great job showing an alternate reality without recycling. Sure, it exaggerates a few details, but there's still truth to the points that Miss Frizzle wants to get across.
But what in the bus is made of plastic?
Oh, the dashboard, the seats, the doo-dinger, the porta shrinker, the three-phase hydrolytic displacement pumpulator. Shall I go on?
I also love how the episode encourages kids to better appreciate those who work at recycling plants, showing respect to a job that's less glamorous than the careers that most children idolize.
Where do you want us to dump this junk?
Oh, careful how you say that word, young lady. Without junk, I'm sunk.
How come? Because my cousin Murph here has dedicated her life to using the old to make the new.
Don't assume that the environmental message replaces all things festive though, because we also get a lovely ending that celebrates both Christmas and Hanukkah. Bojack Horseman. Sabrina's Christmas Wish. This Netflix special features Bojack and Todd watching a holiday episode of Bojack's old sitcom, Horsing Around, in which Bojack's character, Horse, introduces his adopted children to Christmas. Todd is having a blast, but Bojack is very reluctant to have any kind of fun. This Bojack episode is very different compared to what you'd usually expect from the show. Heck, you could argue that it barely represents it. But I think that's what I like about it. Your average Bojack Horseman episode can be emotionally draining to watch, exhausting even, because they can go to some very dark places. So getting to see Todd and Bojack just hanging out watching Horsing Around is a nice refreshing break from those melancholic feelings. Kind of a festive breather. The special uses Horsing Around to poke fun at the predictable cliches and weird quirks of dated 90s American sitcoms. There's an ironic self-awareness behind it all, but you also believe that this TV show actually existed, because the writing is so on point.
Mr. Libertor is gonna make me come in on Christmas, I can feel it. You know, he has got to be the meanest, snootiest, penny-pinchingest, and he's right behind me, isn't he?
Actually, I'm listening over the intercom.
Oh.
Heck, we've only seen clips of Horsing Around in the show before, so it's kind of fascinating to get the bigger picture and find out what an episode is like all the way through, particularly when this old sitcom is such a big part of Bojack's character. But I think the best thing about this Bojack special is Todd and Bojack's commentary. Now and again, we'll cut back to them on the bed, and one of them will make a funny observation or just react confused to a bad joke. It's great.
Isn't giving you the opportunity to give me a leather jacket really the best gift of all?
Well, I've heard of a one-jacket mind, but this is ridiculous. One-jacket mind?
What the hell's the one Jack in mind?
Yes, Sabrina's Christmas Wish isn't your typical Bojack episode, but its biting satire of 90s sitcoms is sharp as a nail. And there's something comfortingly warm about watching two friends riff on a cheesy bad sitcom on Xmas Day, especially in a year in which we've been physically separated from our closest pals. Hey Arnold. Arnold's Christmas. This Christmas, the boarding house are hosting a secret Santa, and Arnold gets Vietnamese resident Mr. Win. But Arnold has no idea what present to get him, until he learns that Mr. Win once had to give away his daughter, Mai, during the Vietnam War. So Arnold vows to reunite the father with his child this Christmas. In order to do this, he promises Town Hall admin Mr. Bailey that he'll complete his Christmas shopping list for him, who has the file resources to help Arnold find Mai. Meanwhile, Helga is excited to get a pair of fancy snow boots for Christmas, and is also trying to find the perfect gift for Arnold, but is having no luck. The appeal of this Hey Arnold episode is Arnold's relentless determination to pull off this Christmas mission. More than anyone, Arnold knows the true value of a well-meaning present, and how a gift can be something profound.
Arnold, it's simple. Just get him a tie. Gerald, that's what everybody gets when they don't know what to get somebody. Exactly my point. I don't know. He always seems so sad this time of year. Gotta think of something special, something that would cheer him up.
But there's also merit in Helga's plotline too. When she finds out that her snow boots are on Mr. Bailey's shopping list and all pairs are sold out, she must ask herself what's the right thing to do. Can she give up her own happiness for Arnold and in turn Mr. Win? Especially when said snow boots are purely cosmetic gifts compared to the chance to reunite a father with his daughter.
I could give them up and give Arnold what he wants, but then I wouldn't have anything. These snow boots are really boss. Oh, what's the right thing to do?
You'll have to watch the episode yourself to find out how everything pays off, but I'll assure you that you're bound to have frosty tears by the end. The Looney Tunes Show, A Christmas Carol. Even though it's December, it's boiling hot outside, so the Looney Tunes characters don't feel like celebrating Christmas this year. In order to get folks in the mood, Lola Bunny stages her own version of A Christmas Carol, while Daffy and Foghorn Leghorn travel to the North Pole to plant a giant fan that'll blow snow across the world. This is one of the silliest Christmas specials I've ever seen, but that's entirely the point. It doesn't matter how ridiculous your festive gesture is, as long as it comes from a caring place and you try your best to pull it off. Lola's play is so awful that it's hilarious, because every change to the Dickens classic makes no sense.
Welcome to the bungalow room. ID, please.
Where is Santa Claus?
How should I know? I'm an innocent nightclub owner.
Well, if Rick Evans didn't kidnap Santa, then... Line.
Then where is he?
And the Cultured Bugs is constantly annoyed at these stupid alterations.
I rewrote it.
You rewrote a beloved classic?
Come on. Who could beloved a story about a mean old guy named Scrooge who hates Christmas?
But you really believe that Lola is directing this theatre performance with a passion, as bad as it is. Plus, even though Bugs is insulted by his girlfriend's tarnishing of a classic book, he still willingly steps in when the cars fall down a trapdoor.
Where is Santa Claus?
Well, how should I know? I'm an innocent nightclub owner.
Yes, Daffy and Foghorn's mission lacks all logic and is a wildly ludicrous idea, yet it's the sentiment behind the project that really matters, even if Foghorn clearly didn't think things through in advance.
I'll say,
What?
Well, are we gonna plug it in?
Plug it in? We have to plug it in? We're in the middle of nowhere! You didn't think about this before we left?
The show even features a heartfelt speech by Santa, and somehow makes it work without seeming cheesy or insincere. Heck, I'd say it's even a little bit funny.
I know what you're all thinking. This is the worst Christmas play you've ever seen, and I can't say I disagree. But it took a lot of effort to put on a play this bad, and if there's one thing that's worth the effort, it's Christmas.
If you're stressing over the holidays this year, grab a cup of cocoa and have yourself a well-deserved giggle with this sitcom special. Rugrats Hanukkah. It's Hanukkah in the Pickles' house. However, their babies have no idea what that all means. The family then go to their local synagogue to see Grandpa Boris appear in a stage production of the Hanukkah story. Bertie's having to share the set with his old rival Shlomo. Can these two old men learn to get along, and will the babies find out what Hanukkah means? Now, I'm well aware that controversy has surrounded the designs for the Jewish grandparents Boris and Minka, but I'd rather not get into that in a video like this. In spite of that criticism though, the episode does deserve to be applauded for existing in the first place, considering how little of a presence Hanukkah has in television and animation. The episode also touches on important Jewish traditions like the eating of latkes and the Book of Torah. Heck, the episode has even been praised for its accuracies to Jewish culture, with only a few tiny details being exaggerated. It even includes characters speaking in Yiddish.
What's going on?
1 minute I'm trying to go home, and the next thing I'm up to my dentures in Kindler.
And fluent Hebrew too.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Hanukkah.
So let's give credit where it's due, especially when I have to thank Rugrats for introducing me to Judaism when I was a child. My favourite part of this special though is seeing these two feuding old men coming to peace, as they tell the miracle of the menorah together. Not only is it nice seeing Shlomo, who regrets never starting a family, bonding with these cute kids, but it's also such a cozy storytelling experience. One that took me back to when my own grandparents would tell me a story by the fire. This episode is apparently very important to Jewish children who grew up watching it, and I will admit that it's a religious episode that reignited my curiosity about Judaism. No matter what your beliefs are, give this cartoon a chance, because it's important to learn about other cultures. The Boondocks. A Huey Freeman Christmas. When Huey's teacher asks him to direct a play about Christmas, Huey agrees to take the helm as long as a contract is made, in order to guarantee his personal vision. Meanwhile, Riley has started to play assassin against Father Christmas at the mall, gaining the title the Santa Stalker. As many of you have probably already noticed, this is pretty much a satire of a Charlie Brown Christmas. It uses the classic Peanuts special story to dismantle the westernized myths surrounding religion and festivities.
As a matter of fact, the United States Congress... Granddad? Granddad!
I'm sorry, boy. What was that?
I just explained the entire history of Christmas.
Unlike Charlie though, Huey is a confident kid with no reservations about how he feels, using his opportunity to direct theatre as a chance to express his black activism, as he plans to stage a play about the real ethnicity of Jesus Christ. It's an ambitious project for a child to take on, but Huey is no ordinary kid.
Oh, hey Mr. Ubowitz, this is Quincy Jones. I've asked him to come in and co-produce.
How are you, man?
I'm good. How do you know Huey?
Oh, me and Huey go way back.
Sadly though, the principal and his team step in, letting their fears of public protest and racist bias ruin Huey's important vision.
Oh yeah, and Jesus can't be black.
What do you mean he can't be black?
He can't be black. Maybe we could make Jesus another color.
How about white? But Jesus was black.
Riley, on the other hand, is out for blood, vengeful towards Santa after receiving no gifts while growing up in a disadvantaged setting. It's a plot that shows the other side of the coin regarding the Father Christmas myth, how not all families are privileged enough to experience the luxury of Santa's gift-giving.
Every year, Santa comes down to forgive us our sins and give us eternal presents.
Man, Santa these nuts. Where was Santa when we was in the hood, huh? Santa ain't showing no love back then.
A Huey Freeman Christmas takes the aesthetics of a Charlie Brown Christmas and uses them to look at the winter holidays through an African-American lens. It cuts through the nonsense and shows a harsher perspective of Christmas that we all must accept as a reality. Kim Possible. A very possible Christmas. The Possibles are celebrating Christmas together, and Kim has made Ron a digital friendship scrapbook for him as a holiday gift. Ron thinks that his present for her in return isn't good enough. So, when Wade alerts the communicator about Dragon's newest evil scheme, Ron volunteers to take on the villain alone so that Kim can enjoy Christmas with her family. However, after Ron fights Dragon in his ship, they accidentally release the escape pods and set off the self-destruct sequence. So Stoppable and the Mad Scientist hop into the garbage pod to escape and land in the North Pole, where they struggle to survive and keep battling each other. Meanwhile, Kim finds out about Ron's secret Santa from Wade and she has to leave the party, but her family decide to come with her. There's so much to love about this Christmas special, it's such a great KP episode. What makes it unique isn't just that it's a chance to see Ron in action alone as a one-man team, but we also get to watch him spend time with Dragon. At first, the two of them don't get along at all, bickering, arguing and fighting over what little food is found in the garbage pod. However, while these two are sworn enemies, they also have a lot in common, from wearing their emotions on their sleeves to embracing their inner child without any shame. So it's no surprise that they end up bonding.
In the words of a very wise snowman, put away those petty problems.
And embrace your fellow man.
and join the celebration all across this wonderful land!
You're a fan of Snowman Hank?
And it's this shared fandom that unites them. Draken may have world domination plans in mind, but he's a big sensitive softie at heart. So we get to see the usually intimidating villain in a mood of festive cheer and wholesome love, all because he treasures Hank the Snowman's teachings.
Hey, gang! It's not the turkey and the stuffing, or the gifts around the tree.
It's a warm and fuzzy feeling that begins with you and me.
But there's also some charm to come from seeing the Possibles celebrate their Christmas, because they're a very cultured and scientifically gifted family, so expect entertainingly eccentric traditions. The icing on top has to be seeing the Possibles join Kimmy on her mission, proving that a family Christmas is about who you're with. A very possible Christmas shakes up the status quo of the show to give us a unique setup, all while celebrating the important values that come with Christmas. SpongeBob SquarePants, Christmas Who? Patchy the Pirate, president of the SpongeBob fan club, is hosting his own Christmas party, and he decides to tell the story of how Christmas came to Bikini Bottom. You see, Sandy was the one who taught SpongeBob everything about Christmas, and SpongeBob decided to spread the cheer by introducing this tradition to his own town, going as far as making sure that everyone sends their letters to Santa this year. What makes this episode so adorable is SpongeBob's wholesome enthusiasm for Christmas. Just look at his super cute face when he learns about Santa. He's less excited about getting presents and more hyped up for what Christmas can do for his fellow sea life. He really does change the mood and atmosphere of Bikini Bottom just by bringing this surface world holiday underwater.
Santa's coming tonight. Santa's coming tonight.
Although, while SpongeBob is the star of this tale, the one who goes through a character journey is Squidward. At first, Squidward is his usual grumpy self, resenting SpongeBob for introducing a holiday that he finds ridiculous, and berating those who believe the little fella.
My wish is that the people of Bikini Bottom will stop paying any attention to the inane dribble that is constantly streaming out of this dunderhead's mouth.
Then, when Santa is a no-show on Christmas Day, Squidward expresses a mean-spirited celebration of joy, relishing in his neighbor's disappointment and bragging that he was right all along, only for SpongeBob to reveal a handmade Christmas present to Squidward. A kind gesture that melts his heart, makes him self-reflect on his cruelty, and inspires him to don a Santa disguise.
Yes, it is I, Santa Claus! Ho, 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 hoo, hee, ha, hoo!
It's a wonderful arc of redemption, as Squidward abandons his cynical pessimism for one day and embraces a role of compassion, all to make SpongeBob believe in Christmas again, even at the cost of giving away everything he owns to keep the spirit of Santa alive. This is truly one of the best Christmas episodes of a cartoon series ever made, like a wonderful present left under the tree for SpongeBob fans.
So those are all my suggestions. Do you have any of your own? Let me know in the comment section below. I've been Jabriki and I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, then feel free to like, subscribe and share.